All right, and we're live. So hopefully there's some people here watching. We did talk about it a little bit, and we said, hey, we're going to be running this live and everything. So maybe there'll be somebody.
I've been doing the lead up for a couple days.
What's that?
We have been doing the lead up for a couple days now.
Yeah, so maybe we might get a few people. We do have over 300 subs, which means if they should get like an alert on their phone or whatever now. So yeah, hey everybody, welcome. I know we're just like rambling about what you should. Hey, we're here. We're going to be running an actual play of Part-Time Gods 2nd Edition. For the first time, I don't have to run the game, which is going to be fun. I get to be a player. We have the awesome Todd Crapper who is going to go ahead and run the game for us. So I'm going to let him take over now, as much as I know you love hearing me talk. Todd, you can go ahead and take over, and you're going to run the session. This is going to be a session 0 where we're going to make characters.
All right. So, yes, that's right, everybody. This is going to be a video where you watch Eloy listening to other people. So this is something we're all going to enjoy. Anyways, yes, hi, hello. My name is Todd Crapper. I am the marketing and design manager for Third Eye Games, and I'm going to be the GM for this actual play. And just to show you how easy it is to get into Part-Time Gods 2nd Edition, this is also going to be my first time GMing this game. Yeah, exactly. So, and I thought, why not do it in a public forum? Like, why not do it in front of other people?
I mean, if you're going to embarrass yourself, it might as well be for sport.
Exactly. Entertainment. We said entertainment. There we go.
Sure. That's the other way to say it.
Okay. So why don't we, obviously Eloy has done his introduction, but why don't we meet our other players tonight before we get started with our session 0? So why don't we start with who I see on my left, and we've got Carol. Carol, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hello all, I'm Carol Darnell. I'm the editing manager for Third Eye Games. And oh gosh, now for what, like 6 years now, Eloy?
For a while.
Something like that. Freelance editor, and I've been a gamer for 20 years, several different systems, including this one.
Nice. And then the next one over to my right, I see Crystal. Crystal, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, I'm Crystal Mazur. I am the PIP system line developer for Third Eye Games, and I'm a freelance writer. And I've been a gamer since high school, so 20 plus years. But this is my first time actually playing Part-Time Gods, so this is going to be an adventure.
Woohoo!
It is my first time playing too. I have run it before at Gen Con and other conventions, but never got really to play.
Well, I mean, but we played with Misha. We played with Misha.
Yes, but we didn't finish.
I mean, but we played though.
Yeah.
the playing did happen.
Yes, it did. Sorry.
So it's going. We're going to have a few firsts done, including Carol's first finished game of Part-Time Gods. There we go. And then finally we have Phil. Phil, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
I'm Phil Vecchione, and I do a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm a project manager for Third Eye Games, and I'm a blogger, podcaster, game designer, publisher, blah, 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 blah. I was one of the designers for Part-Time Gods of Fate, and had I not slipped in some ice and broke my arm, I would have also been one of the designers for this edition of Part-Time Gods, but I took a nasty fall just when writing started and took myself out.
Yeah, I was really sad about that myself.
I am contributing to the companion.
Yes.
So I've done some writing for that. So yeah, this will actually, so on the list of first, this will be my first time playing this version of the game.
Sweet. There we go. Lots of firsts for everybody. Phil, now that I think about it, there's going to be one of the supporting characters that you're definitely going to love when you mention unfortunate accidents there. Anyways, that's just a teaser for everybody at home. Eloy, do we have a copy of the trailer that we made for this? that we could throw up at the moment, or is that something that we'll have ready for next time?
That is a very good question. Can I do that? Let me see. It's definitely going to be a second because I wasn't prepared. I threw it up on the thing beforehand. I didn't know I needed it for this.
You know what? We won't worry about it because it is a session 0, and that's exactly why we have session 0s for online play.
Well, next time.
Next time on part 1 of New Gods of Detroit.
Yes.
This is actually, yes, exactly. This is more like the pre-production phase. We're just trying to get the network to pick us up. So we'll just be happy to get anything on the air. Okay. Yeah, we're shooting the pilot. There we go.
I do want to throw out there that since this is being run live, I am running, like, there's a chat area on YouTube. So if you guys... feel free to interact. We have a few people watching, so feel free to interact with us in the chat box.
Okay, perfect. Well, you know what? Actually, that brings up one of the things I'm going to ask. So every session that I run, I like to have a couple of little helpers for these kinds of things. So if there is somebody who could keep an eye on that, and if there's any questions that I, as the GM, can answer, because generally when I GM, I try and focus solely on the game and the books in front of me and the craziness that comes out of, and the zaniness, sorry, that comes out of my head. So if there's anyone who would like to volunteer for that position.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Generally when I GM,
I mean,
who'd like to volunteer for that position?
I'm an easy one to do it because I'm like in charge of the live stream, so.
Okay, cool. Hold on. Let me make a little adjustment because I noticed there was a little lag there. Okay, perfect. So the first thing I thought that we could go over are kind of like the safety tools that we are going to incorporate into this game.
Okay.
So everybody knows about the X card, I take it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, as gaming professionals. By the way, those of you watching from home will be looking at an odd picture of a gear for my face. Simply because it's making the signal go a little cleaner right now. So at any point in time, if there's anything that happens in the game, feel free to basically do an X symbol in front of you. However, because of the fact that I'm not always paying attention right on the screen, please feel free to just say the words out loud, X card. Like right then and there at any point in time, if for whatever reason we don't catch it, feel free to repeat it. People grab my attention. And like I said, and then we will basically just X card that situation right out of there.
Cool.
Because this is a game where, like I said, we were talking before about kind of setting things as very kind of PG-13, but at the same time too, that can always incidentally leave the door open for something to develop that we didn't anticipate during this discussion that we have right here. Are there any other preferred safety tools that people like using when playing online?
I don't have any. No.
No,
okay.
I don't have.
Haven't done a lot of playing online, and generally only with people I'm really comfortable with. So
that's kind of where I was at. Like, I feel like this is not a group where we will likely need to utilize those tools all that often. It's great that they're there, but I doubt that we'll have to deal with that in this group specifically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then if there becomes something that we do think about it later on, that's always something we can start to implement right away. So if we do run into a situation, we can definitely have that discussion. Alrighty then. And then the other thing I want to mention, like with all tables that I run, is that this is basically an open table. So if for whatever reason you have to pop out, whether or not because of technical difficulties, pee breaks, or simply, like something comes up and you have to go, no questions asked, go right ahead. You take care of what you got to take care of because real life is more important than fun time. Yeah, so there we go. All right, so let's get cracking with making some characters. So what we're going to do is we're basically just going to go through the motions of actually setting up the characters with the 6 steps that are provided in the Part-Time God 2nd Edition rulebook. And I've got a couple of little notes here because of what we are specifically looking to set up for these characters. So I'm going to just go over very quickly kind of some of like the, I guess, kind of the particular campaign rules that we're going to be working with. So we all discussed in advance that all of the PCs are going to be new gods who have just come into their Spark for reasons that they are not sure of. So as a result, there are going to be a few minor modifications where really what we are going to do is we're actually going to skip the theology portion of creating the characters, because that implies that your characters belong to a specific group and have had some time to discover, whereas we're going to be playing as new gods who have just discovered that they have become gods. In fact, you might not even know it at the beginning of the first session. Your character, might just be finding strange and odd things that have been happening lately and don't discover it until the very beginning of the game. One of the other things we're going to be doing is some of the components that the four of you will be creating for your characters will then determine things about the old gods whose Spark basically you have inherited. And then that's going to basically kind of help shape how a lot of the campaign is going to go. So your character creation is going to have a huge part to play in the game itself, not just filling in the blanks inserted into a generic module here. And I think that's everything that I have at the moment. Are there any questions before we get started?
Nope.
No, not right now.
Okay, cool. So everyone open your textbooks up, please, to page 35. Crystal, if you would like to start reading the first paragraph, please. No, that's okay. All right. So I take it then most of you have some kind of concept in mind for what you would like to do for your characters. So let's start with that, and then we can kind of use that to get an idea of, things that we can put into the characters during the actual creation steps, to create like really tight, good connections, because basically you're looking to form a new pantheon within the city of Detroit.
Okay.
So if anyone has any ideas on what they were thinking for a character, feel free to go ahead and shout it out.
So I am actually doing something very interesting this time, and I am going to be generating the majority of my character. I'm basically generating who the character is, the first two steps of occupation and archetype. I'm going to be generating those randomly, is what I've decided. So yes, and I know what I want my dominion to be. My dominion is going to be the god of names, but I am going to roll randomly for my occupation and my archetype to see what I end up with, because I think that will just make it more fun.
All right, cool.
I've got an idea for sort of a subset goddess of knowledge. She's got a limitation in that she's the goddess of data, and specifically it has to exist online. I thought that might make it a little interesting to, it seems like she could know everything, but there's so much she doesn't.
Okay,
but the idea is that, data and online data is more prevalent, and it's being used more, and so it's not necessarily useless. It's just, it's no god has cornered the market on any domain, or dominion.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's almost in a sense where it's like, if the equivalent was a character who could see it in the future, you can see all the different possibilities, but not necessarily the one that's actually going to come true.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, that's totally manipulable. I mean, usable as
yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. Here's some rope.
Crystal, Phil, do you have any concepts in mind?
Yes, I'm actually going to be playing the goddess of Lake Michigan.
Nice.
I have always wanted to toy around with the concept of putting an old god into a young person's body. So she's going to be a college student, and she doesn't know what her major is yet. She's still trying to discover herself.
Sweet. Hilarity will ensue. I can't help but think of the 1980s DC character Firestorm. That's where my geekery comes out.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, and then that leaves Phil. Did you have any kind of concept in mind for your character?
I do. I'm also going to go with a Detroit-themed god. So I'm going to be the god of cars, which means that I'm probably also a old god in a young body, because I'm playing a 20-something, and I will be I'm a Grubhub driver.
I love it.
Oh no.
For those who don't know what Grubhub is, it's like Uber Eats.
Yeah,
or
Uber Eats,
DoorDash.
DoorDash, Grubhub.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Grubhub. I used Grubhub for a while. Yes.
I think that's awesome, because I want mine to be more in the gig economy too. The thing with her is she doesn't actually know computers all that well. She's great on her phone with apps. So she does like TaskRabbit and stuff like that, and Fiverr. But as far as like actually, stop laughing. But yeah, as far as like actual computing, she uses the library for that. She doesn't even have a computer. She has her phone.
Okay, nice. Perfect. Yeah. Oh, these are going to be some fun scenes right here. And with the Grubhub thing, I'm from a small town in Canada, and the equivalent that we have up here is just the taxi company. You just ask them to go pick up your pizza for you, and they just charge you an extra $2 for it. That's it.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
$2?
You know, yeah, and it's a flat rate to get across town. Doesn't matter how close or how far.
Wow.
Oh yes. Alrighty then. Now, when it comes to the city of Detroit, this is something I wanted to establish, and especially too, if it was just a private game, you know, wouldn't be too big of a deal. But because this is actually going out live and recorded for other people, and there is actually a city of Detroit, how close to the real thing do we want to get with Detroit? And by that I mean, do we want to basically kind of go with a more kind of stylish approach to Detroit, and we basically are trying to highlight certain features that are either completely fictionalized or kind of maybe even a little overblown on some of the stereotypes of Detroit? Or do we want to, you know, like, how realistic do we want to get with it? Do we want to still have reference like some actual locations and some actual street names maybe? Or do we just want to go completely fictional with it? Like, what's everyone's take on it?
Well, I went through Detroit with a friend of mine like 25 years ago, so that's my experience with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't.
I flew into Detroit International for about an hour and never left the airport. But my opinion on it is that unless you know it really, really, really well, don't play into the stereotypes and stuff that everybody seems, you know, to have about certain cities. It's better kind of, you can pull certain things, but don't try to make it as realistic as possible, because it's gonna end up not going the way that you want.
Right.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I agree. I mean, a few notable landmarks.
Oh yeah.
Even a few, you know, even if it takes a moment to school the rest of us up on like, hey, this is an important part of Detroit, or this part of the city, you know, was known for this. But yeah, I agree with Crystal for the most part. Don't play too heavy into stereotypes. I think some flavor of Detroit, and then the rest of it is kind of generic urban environment.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll basically reference some landmarks and stuff like that. So just like at a rock concert, everyone can just, you know, hear something familiar and go, woo, at home. But otherwise, we'll keep everything basically standard major metropolitan city. Okay. Cool. There we go. All right, so let's get started with making the mortal side of your characters right now. And that is step 1, occupations. So I'm assuming everyone's got a copy of the rule book in some way, shape, or form, which will make it a lot easier. But yeah, okay, so then go ahead at this point. I mean, if there's any questions when it comes to the choice of occupations, something that you want to clarify what we would do in this particular instance, But when you have an idea of what it is that you want for your occupation, like I said, go ahead and let me know. And because we're live on the air, we can also, I'm just going to treat this like a radio talk show. I'm just going to basically, try and keep a conversation going.
Yeah, totally. I'll go ahead and start because I was rolling randomly for these things while you were talking before, and I rolled public life and I rolled media. So I have decided that I'm going to be a photographer, is what I'm going to go with. And as a photographer, I start off with, obviously I get the deception, fortitude, influence, performance, tech as my skills. I get 3 free time and 3 wealth. And I get to choose one of these 2 attachments. I'm taking an individual attachment as my assistant. I'm going to have, the one that carries all my gear and my stuff, all my stuff with me when I go on photo shoots. Nice. And my blessing is anything for story, and I get +1 stealth when trying to break into places that I shouldn't be. And my curse is killed the cat, and it's sometimes curiosity gets the better of me.
Yep, nice. Very much makes sense.
Oh, so, very good questions, Blake. Okay, I'll let the chat room decide. Because again, this is all completely random. But Blake is asking, do I take photos of celebrities, forensic scenes, tourist spots? I was thinking just general, like, hey, I think that's pretty. But I like the idea of doing celebrities, but then that makes me paparazzi. I don't think I want to go that route.
Take pictures of dead bodies.
I really don't want to go that route. You know what? I like the idea of doing let me see. I like the idea of let's do it. I could do tour spots. I could also just be kind of like what's the word for the hipsters? Like I could be kind of hipster and I could like take pictures of like coffee. And it's like something like that. Like I could be like an Instagram photographer. That actually sounds even more fun, as a matter of fact. No, I'm gonna say like I take like life photos, is what I'm gonna say.
Are you a professional stock photographer?
Yes. Oh, that's even better. I love it.
There we go. Yes.
All right. People are going to be like, why are you taking a picture of that cat? It's like, because I can sell that.
Yeah. I can sell 12 pictures of that cat.
Exactly.
Well, if you're going to go real hipster, you just got to say that you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, there you go.
You don't understand my art.
Yeah. You sound like my father.
All right. Well, that's me. I got media.
Let's not jump into the daddy issues yet.
Does anybody else want to roll randomly?
Actually, I want to go with the blue collar because I think as far as the whole gig economy thing, minimum wage probably comes closest.
Yeah, there you go.
So that would give me more free time. So that's a 4, but a wealth of 1.
I would say that, or you could give yourself. You could do like small time criminal, and be like, well, because you do, like you could say like the neighborhood that you live in, you end up gigging a whole lot for, these for criminals that are trying to get getaways and stuff. You don't have to. I'm just throwing out other ideas.
Yeah. No, I have an idea for her. I think that the attachments I want, though, are my friends, like other people I run into. And that gives us, Phil, that gives us a chance to have at least known each other in passing, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Very cool.
Quick corner. I like that idea. And bored now. Uh-oh.
Yeah, bored now is a hard one. Bored one's a hard one. Sometimes that's really fun, and other times it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. These characters get bored easily and tend to give up on a job. Gain 1 pantheon die when they walk away from an important task and leave it undone to the detriment of the group. Carol's about to become my new best friend.
Well, get ready because I've got the same job.
Hey!
No.
I've also got minimum wage because I'm just, driving around delivering food, which is, really just an excuse to drive my car more. Like that's the.
So, Phil, you said that you were specifically a Grubhub driver.
Yep.
Carol, what kind of driver are you? Blake is actually asking again in the chat. He's saying, is it Uber driver, supermarket staff? Are you a cleaner?
It would be something along the lines of short tasks like from Fiverr or TaskRabbit to combat the board now. and something like, maybe like a Lyft driver or something a little more specific like, the shopping one, like Instacart.
Instacart.
Yeah, which in my area goes to like Kroger and stuff.
I like the idea of being an Instacart driver in an RPG. That just sounds amazing. It's just like while you're in the middle, like the lady's milk is gonna spoil if I don't get it there. It's tension. It's dramatic tension.
It is.
Okay, so I'm gonna write down online driver in quotes as basic and overall summary.
And we have two of them.
Exactly. Well, and I like this too, because one of the questions that we will get into is basically establishing any possible connections or awareness of the other characters as you meet each other and that kind of stuff. So, okay, cool. All right, so that's 3 down.
Crystal's the only one left for occupation.
Crystal. Now we've got, you did mention student.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm going to do academic and student.
Alrighty then.
So I get 4 free time and 1 wealth because students are poor. And my blessing is Omega's rule, which is the real lessons from college are how often you operate, how to operate during keggers, and stay abreast of the latest gossip making its way through campus.
Yep, there we go. Perfect. There we go. So I'll mention this part. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
My curse is pop quiz. I freeze making important decisions.
We're gonna be so awesome.
So far, mine is the only curse that like gets me into trouble. Your guys are just like, now we're done. We're out of here.
Yeah, which can very much get you into trouble in this game. So
definitely.
Yeah, I like the fact that basically it's the 4 of you will be standing around looking at each other going like, wait, we're gods?
That sounds like an important decision. No.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. I got a midterm next week. So I'm going to mention for the people playing at home. So the different components that basically are established with the occupation are the characters starting free time and wealth, which will definitely start coming a factor as we go. But also too, it allows them to choose one type of attachment, and each one is pretty much automatically assigned a level, and it's given a recommendation for them to work with. And then each one also receives a blessing, which is a benefit they get in the game, and a curse, which obviously, as we have established, is something that I get to have fun with. So, do we want to get into the specific attachments now, or do we want to wait until we have a complete list of, like, all the attachments that you want? Do we want to wait until then or get through them now?
I usually like to wait till the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Blake has another question too. Is this fate or fate accelerated or something else?
Oh, this is most definitely something else. Blake, you're in for a real treat. Are we talking Blake? Are we talking Blake Ryan Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Blake, you're in for a treat. Sit down and get comfy, buddy.
Yeah, this uses the chakra system, which is it's a home system for the game, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, basically, if you have played Ninja Crusade 2nd Edition, it's the same system behind that as well. And it uses pools of D10s. But I would say that Part-Time Gods definitely does something, like pretty unique. English, the territory grid. There we go.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah. Okay. So step 2, archetypes. So for those of you, once again, playing the home game, archetypes are basically kind of like the personality profiles of the different characters to basically kind of shape the kind of person that they were when they were just mortal online drivers and, you know, regular schlubs and this kind of thing. Of the different archetypes, does anybody have one already set in mind? Or yep, go ahead, Eloy.
I was considering pulling one from the companion because there's some really good ones in the companion, but I'm going to stick with the core book. But I did roll randomly, and I got the Fool.
Oh, I was going to also take the Fool.
So I can change mine so that we can have varying personality types. This was just what I got randomly.
Yeah, you know what? The die actually hit your knuckle there. I noticed. You're gonna have to re-roll that.
So yeah. So all right. So if you're taking the Fool, then I'll take something else. But talk a bit about why you picked the Fool, though.
Yeah. So so Case is my character's name. Case is just like a free spirit. Like Case is just about driving around and having a good time. And so, you know, once Case gets divine powers, like that doesn't change. Like Case has this Grubhub job because it's got the most free time that he can think of. So, you know, this just all plays into this kind of go lucky, have a good time, gonna drive around, gonna use my powers for fun. Like what's the purpose of being a god if I, can't have a little fun with it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I have a feeling we all know a Case. Or in some, maybe for some of us, we all knew a Case, and then our partner said, "I don't want you hanging around with Case anymore."
I think everybody knows a Case in their 20s, and then like in their 30s, they're like, "Oh, like we can't hang out with Case anymore." Like,
yeah, yeah. And then, in your 40s, you see an online crowdfunding campaign to try and raise money for Case's liver.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Carol and Crystal, any ideas on the archetypes you want for your characters?
My character never could really decide on, like, she's not a career gal. She's more like what I can pick up. So I'm going with the Wanderer.
Nice.
Who doesn't have a whole lot of material things, doesn't necessarily, go pshaw, just doesn't have a lot and doesn't really care a whole lot. But they like to be on the move. They get, they don't like to be bored. And they know their way around the city.
Okay.
Or at least the one they're in now.
Yeah. All right. Cool. There we go. So, Crystal, what were you thinking for your archetype?
I'm torn between two of them. So
okay.
I'm thinking either the dreamer or the rebel.
Ooh.
And I can see it going either way with the character, which is why I'm having such a difficult time.
Yeah. All right, so let's try and narrow it down maybe with a couple of questions. Yeah. So you're playing a student. Yep. Are you going to like community college or are you going to university?
University.
Okay. What club would you see your character joining? Like first and foremost, would your character, join the student newspaper? Would they join like a sports team? Would they join like one of those really kind of like weird kind of like side clubs, like a role-playing club? What kind of club would you see that character joining as soon as they enroll in college?
I could see a newspaper.
Okay, so actually getting involved, so to speak.
Yeah.
Would it be to expose the corruption in the system, or would it be to kind of like further a career, get to know people, be around like a position of power? Would it be to fight the system, or be a part of the system?
I would have to say, ooh. See, I kind of like the gossip thing with the blessing, and I kind of want to lean into that. So it'd be more like a gossip column type of thing. So I would say exposing stuff that's going on, whether she realizes it or not, as to what's going on or what she's actually doing. She just wants to talk about it.
Yeah, okay. So, well, what do you think based on answering those questions? What are your thoughts about going between the dreamer and the rebel now?
Sounds like rebel.
I'd have to say the rebel. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with visionary. Is what I'm gonna go with.
The dice have told you you're going with visionary.
No, I decided to.
Oh, okay.
I just picked one. I picked one from there because I was like, I was gonna go with rebel, but then I was just like, nah, that sounds like she's going rebel. Visionary though, I think is what I'm gonna go with.
Okay. Cool. And as a visionary, what does that make you? What type of person does that make you?
Visionaries are essentially about action and about problem solving, being able to see a solution before others can.
Okay. Nice. There we go. And so as a result of your archetypes, it gives you a certain number of skill bonuses. It also gives you another attachment to choose from. It also gives you a selection of blessings and curses to choose one of each. So in the course of the game, once these characters are done, they'll have multiple blessings and multiple curses. And the mortal side, which is basically what these first two components are, really kind of set down the core of the character before they actually, in some cases, stumble their way into divinity. In some cases, depending on the type of theology you play, you could actually be the kind of like, chosen and bred for it. But what we're doing here specifically, it's stumbling. Face first. Alrighty then. So now we get to the gritty part. So we all know.
We have to pick our blessings and curses.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes. So yes, go right ahead with those. Sorry.
Well, like as the visionary, I have the choice between 3 blessings and 2 curses. Everybody does, and mine are make things happen, which gives me a +1 bonus for sending my bonds out on lead follow-up. Or I get opportunity knocks, which allows me to re-roll 1s in certain situations, or I can get scope out, which gives me a bonus to assess situations and read the room and stuff like that. Which I think I'm going to go with that one. I think I'm going to go with scope out. And essentially that just gives me a +1 to any roll to assess a situation or get a read of the room. This could include an empathy bonus to see how everyone's feeling, or a perception bonus to quickly check out for hidden traps, things like that. So I just get a bonus when I'm checking the area.
Gotcha. And you know what? That actually does make sense for, being a photographer.
It kind of does.
Just noticing things. Yeah, exactly. Cool. For the curses, you got a choice between not a mind reader and remember me, ?
I think I'm going to go with remember me. And I think I'm going to use it as kind of, since I take photos, it could be like I have taken, like, we can always call back and be like, oh, remember you took a photo of that guy and he didn't like that. So like, we can always do stuff like that. Cause right now I'm thinking that I likely take photos for Crystal's like blog, and then she writes something rebellious about them. But then, of course, then they blame me because they're like, weren't you that guy who took my picture?
When I was reading that last one, remember me, every time I see a question mark, I think back to Victor Borga's old routine where he actually enunciates punctuation marks. So I was literally about to read it as, remember me? That's right, kids. That's what happens when you play with people in their 40s.
Oh, come on. We're fun.
Just have Wikipedia open alongside as we're playing.
Right. Yeah,
follow along. Right.
Yeah.
It's all right. Me and Crystal aren't quite 40 yet, so it's all good.
Okay, whippersnappers. That's all right.
Don't worry. We've already printed your passes. We're just, it's a matter of waiting. Okay. Yeah. So for the so there we go. So we've got Eloy's visionary character set down. So for our wanderer, Carol, what were you thinking for your blessing and curse?
For my blessing, I want to take, I know a shortcut. This will allow me to spend free time in blocks of 5 rather than 4. So I can move around faster.
Nice, very good.
And as for a curse, in case I actually do burn through free time, holes in my pockets, which I gain a pantheon die when I spend wealth between scenes. So since I don't have a whole lot to begin with.
Okie dokie then. Yeah. Your character shouldn't be holding on to money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then for our rebel, Crystal, what blessing and which curse were you thinking about?
So I'm going to go with my blessing, disrupt the system. I think that fits for what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I can sacrifice a pantheon dice and give a target a -1 penalty per dice sacrifice this way.
Nice.
Yeah. And then my curse is going to be chaotic. Which sometimes the world needs a little chaos. So I gain pantheon die if I commit a random act of chaos that throws off the rest of the group and causes trouble.
Nice. I'll mention this now, just kind of thinking of it. So when we actually get to playing our characters, feel free. I am totally one of those GMs that encourages players to point out and give not so subtle reminders that you have basically triggered a little something, with your curses and whatnot kind of stuff. Because as much as the curses cause narrative problems, like in that case, gaining a pantheon die is actually a mechanical benefit. So by all means, I have no problem with heavy nudging.
Cool.
Okay, and then for our I was about to say this and I feel bad. For our fool, there's Phil.
Yeah, man.
Hey.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm just going with what you told me.
Yeah, man. No, it's fine.
It seems like your blessing picks itself.
Yeah, right? I'm taking road trip.
Yeah.
So yeah, whenever I would spend free time to pass from one scene to another, I can roll a d10, and if I on a success, I spend 1 less free time doing it. So, and I can extend that effect to others traveling with me. So hop in the car, I'll get us there.
Nice. All right, and then for your curse.
Big mouth. I couldn't take the other one. The other one is the other one's all about a lack of planning, and while that is totally playing against my own type, I literally can't make myself do that. So I thought about it for a few minutes. I was like, oh, I can't. I'm actually anxious, trying to think of a character being unprepared.
But you are you're a project manager. That's what you do.
I'm right. Prepared is a way of life. So I can't even break out of that mold. So exactly. Big mouth gives me an extra pantheon die when I blurt stuff out. So secrets, insults,
anything that will complicate this game.
I feel like Case has very little filtering, so Case just says things to people, creatures, whatever, probably shouldn't, and just kind of lives with that.
Nice. And so will we.
Love it.
Yeah,
which is the reason why Case works for Grubhub and not Uber, because he actually 1-starred his way out of Uber because he just kept telling people in his car what he thought, and people were just like, get out, I want out. So it's much safer if I just deliver food.
Alrighty then, cool. There we go. Any other questions before we move on to step 3?
I think
Which
we're
I
good.
think is kind of the funnest part, because we are about to shape how your godly abilities work.
Yes.
Alrighty then. So yeah, step 3 is Dominion, and that is basically kind of choosing like an overall category for your actually godly domain. And so this is definitely one of those things where I would say, if anything, of all character creation is definitely something that's always worth doing best as part of the group to get an overall consensus, because obviously some some ideas can be very abstract and very interpretive on a group-to-group basis. So that's exactly what we'll do here. So let's actually start the reverse of last step. Phil, as a god of cars, what kind of dominion were you thinking about? Which one kind of seems like it makes the best sense to how you envision how that's going to work?
So I think tangible is the dominion that fits cars best. So like some of the examples included things like the god of computers, paper, that kind of thing. So I think the god of cars falls into that same kind of material setting. So tangible is what I'm going with.
Okay. And then how exactly does a god of cars be a god of cars? So, what are the specific kind of things that you had envisioned? Imagine your character, say, 10 years in the future, Spark's still intact, maybe even stronger than ever. What are the kind of things that Case would be doing as the god of cars?
So for sure, Case can always find a car. Like whenever we need a car, or whenever Case just feels like a car, whatever mood strikes Case, like that car is there. Like if I want something slick and fast, or I want something, beefy and, big SUV kind of thing, or a classic car, like whatever it is, Case can always just kind of find, it's either find a car or the car finds Case.
Gotcha.
For sure. Cool driving. The god of cars can definitely drive and do some cool driving stuff. Probably the most pronounced. Like I can get across town in the dead of gridlock, like always. And I can always, I always have the sickest ride. I always have the ride that for whatever we need. Like if everybody's coming out, like I got like a big SUV that everyone fits in. If I'm going out myself, I can always find a car. If I want to be nondescript, it's it's like some beater car. And if it's dead of winter, it drives great. Whatever it is, I can always put my hands on it.
Nice. Okay. Cool. And those are some of those sound like some really good ideas for truths that you could definitely be coming with for your character. Because yeah, that actually sounds really cool. Okay. So I gotta know, pop culture reference. Which movie are you thinking of when you say that you are a cool driver? So, who exactly are you thinking?
Oh, okay. Hang on. I think I know which one I want. Let me see if it's the right movie. Oh yeah, Baby Driver.
Yeah. All right. Like I said, just so I can make a couple pop culture references are always good shorthands.
Yep. So Baby Driver is definitely my inspiration.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Excellent. Let's go over to Crystal. What were you thinking for your Dominion, or more generally, how did you envision being the goddess of Lake Michigan? How, what are the kind of things that you would see a goddess of Lake Michigan doing?
So I'm definitely going with elemental.
Right.
And that is, over forests, the gods of skies, sun. So Lake Michigan would definitely fit into that.
Yeah. Excellent.
Then, yeah. For blessing, I think I'm going to do destructive nature.
Ooh. Okie doke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Lake Michigan is very dangerous. A lot more dangerous than people realize. So yeah, I gain +1 success towards damage measure. And then I did have a logistics question, Todd, before I
Sure.
choose my curses. Because one is connected to the land, and there's a landmark bond, and I lose a pantheon dice if my landmark bond gains a strain from an outside source. Could like be a landmark bond and take strain or not, because it's so big.
Well, I would say almost in this case, I mean, anything that we could do that could possibly put strain on Lake Michigan, and it's already strained enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost kind of wondering if, it should be something a little bit more kind of smaller, or a little bit more kind of, because the other thing about it too is that a landmark has got to be something that basically fits as like a dot on the territory grid, so to speak. And
well,
I think
I mean,
a lake,
and Fitz is a it's a weird one. Like there's like there's a character who's the goddess of the sun, and one of her landmark bonds is the beach, and you just mark it on a dot. Hey, that's the beach.
that's the one. That's the particular beach that is
Right.
like is very special. It's connected to you and something like that.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's not as if like we have to then say, okay, so that means all the other dots next to it are also the beach. It's like, no, it's just like that dot's the beach. It's fine. Like we get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could always say like that dot is Lake Michigan, or you could be like that dot is the cabin that I live on that's on Lake Michigan, or like whatever, however you wanted to do that. But it should definitely be linked. That level 3 landmark bond is supposed to be linked to whatever your elemental thing is. So should definitely be something Lake Michigan themed.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
being one of the beaches there then.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. There we go. Because it has to be something that that you have to take a couple of specific routes to get to, rather than like it runs adjacent to the entire city.
And I was like, oh my gosh, if I take that and it's to Lake Michigan, I'm like, that is going to be a lot of pantheon dice I'm losing all the time.
Oh yes. Okay, cool. So you're gonna go with connected to the land then.
Yep.
Okay, and then as the goddess of Lake Michigan, once again, same questions. 10 years from now, your spark has become stronger. You've fully embraced your divinity. What are the kind of things that you see a goddess of Lake Michigan doing?
I could see her being like a non-for-profit organizer for land conservation. I could see her, being a sea captain or a ship captain and driving over, the lake with ships and stuff. So a boating captain.
Okay.
A couple of different directions that she could take.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty then.
But aren't you a student?
Yeah. Well, he said 10 years.
Oh, okay.
But at that point, I should be graduated.
But even then, that still kind of gives me ideas on because obviously what I want to do as the GM is start kind of coming up with some situations that allow everyone a way to basically kind of demonstrate their abilities and that kind of thing. And that still kind of gives me, a couple of ideas, on situations to create and that kind of stuff. Okay, cool. Next, Carol, what are you thinking for your Dominion?
Crossovers. Mostly because data is it's a concept that, especially online data, is one that can be somewhat tangible. I'm thinking possibly overload someone's phone or make it make a noise when it shouldn't, or blurting out something, something you didn't ask Siri, but I did.
Okay.
And since it can apply to other things, I'm still trying to work with it, because I know crossovers can be a little difficult, but like you know, not that we would need to, but for some reason I'm stuck on, finding a particular animal perhaps that's been chipped. So that's not typically what you would think a domain would be, or knowing the best route to take because I know what the weather prediction is before anybody else.
Right. Okay.
Yet. That kind of thing. Does that make sense?
It does. So the question I have for you is, would it be the kind of thing that you would almost have like Wi-Fi access in your head, or do you need to have you need to have access to some kind of tech?
Well, if anything's going to be like a kind of not a relic per se, but like a focus, it would be her phone.
Okay.
So she just has that app, whatever she needs.
You correct me if I'm wrong, but you also wanted to go with the idea of being like, an older god in a younger person's body. Do I have that right?
I think that was Crystal.
No.
Yes, that's right. Okay, yeah, that's right. That was Crystal. Okay. But you did kind of mention the fact is like, you're not really tech savvy.
Well, not with computers per se, but like her phone is what she knows. So I'm thinking maybe she could. I mean, someone might have to mention something to her, like, "Oh, you can do that," and then she could maybe do it.
I was wondering, is it possible you're able to somehow access all this information on just an old flip phone?
Well, that would be really funny.
Okay.
But the thing is she actually does have the apps for her work. So
okay,
we're talking about two different phones. Like she has her mortal phone, and then this is more of a focus. Like this is.
I see. Okay.
This is the phone that she uses to call her friends, and they're like, "Why does it take you 5 minutes to text hey?"
Okay. So, but basically everything still, like the technology still has to, in order to do something on a piece of tech, it has to be able to function that way. You can't. Yeah. Okay. You can't break technology. Okay. No, that's the main thing I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. Yes, and then you've got a blessing and a curse to choose from.
Adaptable. Which lets me, if you come up with like a skill combination, I could go, but what if?
Nice.
And but that costs sacrificing a pantheon die, and if I do it more than once in the scene, the cost of the pantheon die sacrifice goes up. So.
Well, and obviously the reason for that is because you can already say, hey, but what if I use this one? The power lets you do it regardless of what Todd says.
Right.
Which if you want to make a case and convince Todd, you can. But if or you can just be like, I'll sacrifice a pantheon die, screw Todd.
But the curse, on the other hand, I wanted it to be pretty mirror of the adaptable, unpredictable. So that means that sometimes not everyone knows what I'm going to do, and that makes me less trustworthy in their eyes. So that gains a pantheon die whenever that causes trouble for me and or the group.
Pop-up ads?
I said, untrustworthy, not demonic.
Gotcha. No pop-up ads. All right, cool. There we go. So that brings us to Eloy. What dominion were you thinking?
Mine was named.
I understand if you need a moment to look through the book and read a little bit, because I know you're really new with everything that we're doing here.
I actually was reading while you guys were talking. Silly. I'm doing the God of Names, and so that's conceptual. Yeah, is what that is. It's even listed as an option there. So, and I'm taking a level 2 landmark bond, but I haven't decided what I want it to be yet, because it's supposed to be associated with what your dominion is. So I'm trying to figure out what names, like what kind of location names would be connected to. Hadn't actually thought of that.
There's the maternity ward at a hospital. Like, I don't know, that just literally popped into my head. Is like, that's where most people get named, is in the
That's
maternity
true.
ward of a hospital.
That's true. Let's do that. Yeah. So it'll just be the local hospital then,
Okay.
and that'll be. Oh, you know what? That's one of my side gigs. Is I take baby photos at the hospital.
Hey, bam, connections. Take that, old 1980s PBS series.
Blake is asking, does that include hashtags and aliases? I think it would probably include aliases, not likely hashtags, because hashtags are more references than they are names for things. That's just my interpretation, but obviously Todd is the one to say the actual, thing, because an alias is just another name for something, so it falls under names. Whereas hashtags are...
Yeah. You do have a really good point there. Hashtag New Gods of Detroit. That's a good point.
Well, the question is, New Gods of Detroit is the name of the game that we're playing. Is hashtag New Gods of Detroit an alternate name, or is that just a thing to then reference the name, but it's not actually the name?
See, it would very much be on a case-by-case basis, because you could say, for example, the Ice Bucket Challenge, which pretty much was a hashtag, was really the name of it, and that's how most people associated with it.
So what I would say is that aliases would fall nicely under my dominion. Hashtags, it would be tangential, which would mean I take a penalty.
Bam.
Done.
Let's go with that.
I'm gonna go with that. I'm taking.
This is what happens when you play with the game's designer, people. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, there's also rules
get
for tangential
solved.
things, so it's like, there's stuff. I'm gonna take tongues, which will allow me to speak all languages. So that's very helpful for a god of names, and I can talk to everybody. And then I'm gonna take Bizarro God as my curse, and specifically what that is sometimes if you use your powers a lot, you might drain yourself of your power, and then you basically lose connection to whatever your dominion is. And so what I can do with that in terms of names, because it's kind of set up here like beauty, justice, those sorts of things. But under names, it could be either that I can forget who I am if I use my power too much. And I might even just like become a temporary amnesiac for a scene. Or I might like develop something like face blindness or something where like I'm not able to identify anybody that I'm talking to. So I'm not even like thinking I need to choose which of those two. I think sometimes one might happen and sometimes the other might happen, because they both kind of fall under the general description of what that curse is. So we can kind of play with that as we go, I think.
Do you see that as being something that just happens as a result of not having a firm grasp on your new abilities, or as something from your mortal side? So, basically, is there like dementia or something like that that runs in your character's family? Or is this basically a matter of, oh, wow, like I really kind of went overboard walking around calling everybody walking down the street by their name. And now I don't remember the street that I live on, it's like pulling a muscle, so to speak. Or is it something that is the result of like your mortal side?
I think as written, it's supposed to be like pulling a muscle,
right?
Sort of thing. I think I like that better, because I feel like this is the kind of thing that this type of character is going to abuse.
Gotcha.
So it's going to come into play probably quite often, because I'm a media person who's like will do anything for a story, and I love to scope out the places, and I can speak all languages. Like all my good things are leading to my bad things.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. There we go. Look at that. We have their personalities that are forming here. Alrighty then. So technically, step 4 is theology. But like I mentioned before, because you're all going to be brand new to Divinity, we're going to skip theology. So what that's going to mean is that, and this is actually written on page 67, that you're going to be getting 8 points that you'll be able to assign for skills, and 2 points that will be assigned for your manifestations, which is what we are going to be getting to very soon. So that'll be in addition to the standard amount to make up for the fact that you don't have a theology, and so you're still playing with well-balanced characters.
All right, so we should spend those 8 now?
If you want, or if you want to hold on to them and kind of, like, do it when we get there, so to speak.
Oh, that's good.
I'm comfortable with either way. I'm just here to help you.
Oh, and we get 3 free time.
Oh, yes, and 3 free time. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, cool.
Because you're not bound by going to meetings, and that kind of thing.
Exactly. All right, so we're just skipping theology here. Let me skip that whole section here.
Yep, so that puts us on step 5, which is on page 104 for everyone who's following at home.
I don't know how many people are following at home, but that would be cool.
Blake was following.
Thank
Blake
you, Blake,
was
for
following
being
at
here.
home. That's all we know.
Theology.
Yeah.
What about wealth as far as theology?
Oh, yes, that's right. Sorry, let me go back to 67. Maybe I missed that
You
part
only
too.
you only get wealth from your theology if you pick a theology.
Okay, well, we're doing free time, so I thought.
Yeah, you get 3 free time and no wealth.
Okay.
Like with a roll right now.
But you save so much on membership dues.
Pretty.
Yeah, but you don't have people that you can call on for favors when you need a couple extra bucks.
Know.
Yeah, that's more what it is. But yeah.
Yeah. It's like the less friends you have, the less people you can mooch off of.
I tried.
Alrighty then. So now we are down to our attachments. So I'm just going to explain this a little bit for everybody watching in the here or in the future. So attachments are basically things, and they the best way to explain it is that the different types that they come in. They come in the form of bonds, entitlements, and bonds basically are they represent, like the people, places, and things that the god is connected to in this territory that they are going to rule. So, if they're an individual bond, they are a person who connects the god to their humanity in some way, shape, or form. If it's a group bond, then there are mortal social circles that the god frequents. And if it's a landmark, it is a specific location that is important to the god. So in the case of Crystal's character, there is a very particular beach that has great significance in one way, shape, or form that, and I would say even too, like in your particular case, it could still be something that's more important to like your mortal past, but now being the goddess of Lake Michigan, it has even maybe greater semblance to it. So, yours, I could also kind of see going either way. You just start to use that location basically as your landmark bond.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also too, then that's something that I can still use to say that it turns out that the old god of god or goddess of Lake Michigan also happened to frequent that beach. You know what I mean? That's still something that we can use to kind of connect the new god with the old god. There we go. Okay. And then there's also going to be the entitlement. So there's different kinds. There's relics, which are divine artifacts containing great power. And Carol, you actually mentioned like the possibility of having a relic in the form of like your phone, possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah, there are truths, which are very cool, which is something we kind of talked about with Phil's character. And those are things that are universally true. So like if Phil decided to go with, let me flip to my notes here, that you can always find the right car for the right job. That is totally could be a truth. And then that's something that happens. It's not something he ever has to roll for or anything like that. It just always is. And then there are also vassals and worshippers. Vassals are mythological creatures and outsiders who are working for or more like with the god or goddess. And then there are the worshippers, who is exactly what we expect, which is why I've started calling part-time gods fans part-time worshippers. And no one's called me out on it. So, you know, we're just going to keep using it until it sticks. So each of you have, I believe it's 3 attachments at this point.
5. It's 5 points.
Yes, it's 5 points, but to go towards your attachments and everything like that. So,
Okay.
what's everyone thinking? Let's start radio talk showing this thing. Let's start talking out loud. Phil, what kind of attachments are you thinking of for Case?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking back through the other parts, and I think I have. So based on Dominion, I get +2 levels to relic entitlement and a level 1 landmark bond. So I know what I want the level 1 landmark bond to be. There's I did a quick check. There is a museum. The Ford Piquette Avenue plant is like the home of like Ford's original factory for the Model T and like a whole bunch of other cars that came out after it. So that is definitely the landmark bond I want, is that museum with all the old cars in it and everything else, because I think that has to tie back to the whole legacy of the God of Cars, because I think the God of Cars is like born. Well, I think the original God of Cars probably is Ford. And then it's just that spark's been passed down a few generations through the 20th century. So I definitely want that landmark bond. I'm not too sure what I want to do about the relic entitlement, or exactly how that's going to work. I know there's some examples of some level 2 relics, right? Is that what the +2 levels means?
Yeah, and then there's rules too that if you just want to take those 2 levels and say, I want this kind of effect, there's rules in there for you to just say, like, hey, I want it to do something like this.
Yeah, so I definitely have to mess around with that. And then I guess the other question I had, I'll just ask the question, was back in occupations, right? There's a back in occupations, there's also a attachments, right?
Right.
Yes.
Like, I think since we share that, well, I chose the my friends, which is like a level 3 group. I was thinking other freelancers, gig people, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I actually had an idea that there's a bar that we go to.
Yeah, I definitely. All right, so then, yeah, I also have I have a level 3 group, my friends, which are going to be like kind of gearheads, like just people who like to trick out cars and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the thing I need to kind of check out is I need to go dig around in relics a little bit.
Okay. Alrighty then. Then we will come back to you. And that was sorry for your gearheads. That's a level 2.
They're a level 3.
Level 3. Okay. Alrighty, see. Level 3 group. Okay. Cool. Does anyone else have any of their attachments already, like firmly in mind, or has some questions?
I have a couple.
Okay.
For I think it was not the. Well, the one was the friends, and then I had another one where I got another like level 2 group. Trying to see what that was under. Might have been under the archetype.
Yeah, I'm just about to. I'm about to get to the Wanderer right now.
Yeah, and so I was thinking. I have a couple of. I'm calling them preferred patrons, like just people who. We try to work it so they get me in the rotation or whatever. Just if I'm thinking ahead of like if I really need to put strain on a relationship for quick wealth. And then just for the attachment side, the only thing I've come up with right now is I had in my background a cousin. I don't have any siblings, but I have a cousin. His name is Elliot, and he's also a student. He's a computer science student at the university, And there I'm looking at a kind of like a nurturing relationship. We're not really close with our respective parents, but they're disappointed because I didn't go to college, and his are putting pressure on him. So it's a very sort of we get together and we kind of encourage each other. So it's a positive relationship, but it's like level 2 right now because we're both busy.
Yeah. Okay.
I was also thinking relics, specifically the phone, but I'm going to have to look at that for a second to figure out exactly what I want it to do.
Okay. And that's also one of those things that, I mean, it's going to be another couple of weeks until we start with part 1. So even if it's something that kind of gets hashed out a little bit more in detail afterwards, that's totally something we can do. So even if it's just the foundation of, I want to use my phone as a relic, I'm actually good with that right now. And then we can hammer the details down a little more.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Any other attachments that are taking shape, or any questions?
No, the first thing I was just going to say was just make sure everybody remembers that you get 1 free truth. That's just
right.
Because you're a god. So I took, this was something that we were talking about in chat, but I took that if I know your name, I can become you. So it's going to be a shape-shifting truth. So, and it's if I know somebody's name, so I'm not giving myself the ability to automatically know everybody's names. That's one of the things I'm doing here. I could just say, I know everybody's names, and it's just a truth, and I just do. But I'm going to make it a little bit challenging on myself.
Okay.
So I'm giving, if I know your name, I can become you. And then I picked a second one, which I thought was a pretty cool one. I wanted to have first move as one, which is one that's actually in the book. And that's basically that I can go first regardless of initiative if I want. So,
Okay.
So essentially I'm saying that, the god of names, thinks faster than others or whatever, already knows what you're going to do because he knows your name.
Or can't wait in line,
exactly.
It's up to interpretation.
Exactly. But I basically, that one's called first move. So if I want to go first in any kind of encounter, I can just be like, I go first.
And that, that actually makes a lot of sense for a photographer, because like that kind of reaction of, they already have the camera in hand while other people are thinking, which way do I run?
Exactly.
Cool.
So I'm starting off the game with 3 truths, which is the max that you can start off with. And then I spent my other 3 points, because it's 2 for an additional truth. And I spent my other 3 points on 3 points of faithful worshipers.
Okay.
I would say that since we actually are like we have the maternity ward and all that stuff going. And I'm going to say that like this city that we're in, I guess Detroit, there's a lot of children who are born here. And I'm going to say that a lot of there's like an underground movement who were worshiping the god of names. Because they were like asking for the right names and the god's blessing on the children, and that's why there's a lot of worshipers just in the town, and they don't know, like, that's the thing about worshipers is like they worship the god of names. They don't care who the god of names is. They worship the god of names. So I don't actually have to interact with these worshipers for me to have the worshipers, because their energies, their prayers are just coming at me anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So they're with these worshipers, they're kind of like loose and they're kind of scattered. Like when you say they're like an underground kind of a group, is that more of like they meet in secret, or just that there's a bunch and they're all scattered?
More like that there's a bunch and they're all scattered. Yeah.
Scattered. Okay.
But I mean, they're going to end up as a point on the grid. So we'll just have to figure out what that point represents, essentially.
Okay.
It could be like a community center that they meet at sometimes. Like, it doesn't need to be anything super, high stakes or anything.
Okay. All right. Cool. Oh, I could definitely find a way to make that work. Okay. And then you said you were going with 3 truths overall. Like when it's all said and done, you're going to end up having 3 truths.
Yeah, I have tongues, I have first move, I have shapeshifting.
Tongues, that's the other one. Okay.
Which I got, and I got that one from my Dominion.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Excellent. Okay, cool. So that's Eloy basically taken care of as far as attachments go.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I figured out pretty quickly what I wanted.
Crystal, what were you thinking of for attachments?
So I have my beach. One of them is going to be another 3-point bond, and it's going to be fellow students for a group, and it's going to be my journalism group. So I've hung out with this group a lot. We, meet on a almost daily basis for planning and producing our publications and stuff like that. So it's a group that I'm pretty close knit to.
Okay. And what level would they be?
That'd be 3.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
And then I get another one for being a rebel, and I'm going to go with, because I either get to pick for a group or vassal, and I'm actually going to go with vassal. Because traditionally there are a lot of fire dancing groups that actually perform on the shores of Lake Michigan. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to have them as worshipers, because they help clean up the beaches and stuff like that, so that they can do their performances and meetings and stuff like that.
And sorry, what did you say they were?
Fire dancers.
Fire dancers. Oh, okay. I'm not sure I actually get the reference.
Fire poi. I'm trying to think of fire spinners.
Okay.
They have pods that are on fire and they spin them around their bodies.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think I know, but I mean, it's. I got a couple of weeks to Google some stuff, so not a problem.
That's a thing that
yeah,
happens at Lake Michigan a bunch.
Yeah, actually, there's a group in Milwaukee. There's a group in Chicago. I know that there's a group in Detroit. So yeah, like all around the entire shore of Lake Michigan are fire worshipers, or fire dancers. So having them as worshipers would be, I think, interesting.
Yeah. Alrighty then. Cool. There we go. And did you have anything in mind for your truth?
I haven't actually gotten that far yet.
Okay, not a problem. I'm not here to put pressure on you.
Hey, I was looking at the relics, and I was thinking of, there's one called, well, okay, I read that wrong. I was thinking of, we were talking about not breaking technology, basically, not breaking the what the app can do. So going with the weather one, if I wanted to know, like, get some kind of advance notice of where there was going to be poor weather, and get around it. If the app didn't have that information, but could have that information, would that work?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm normally pretty flexible with breaking the laws of reality and that kind of stuff in general in any games that I run. So
well, I don't want it to not do something it can't do, but if it's not technically put out there yet, but I can know it because it's online, at least on
Yeah, I mean, just even doing generic web browsing and whatnot in general. I mean, so the way I like to do things as a GM is, if you can bullshit me into it, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. So if you can start to make the connections on the dots, like if you can, if you can Kevin Bacon your way from an Uber app to checking the weather, go for it, because that's half the fun.
So for the relic aspect of it, should it be something like it's always got a connection?
I would say so, yeah. Because that would be almost kind of like
at a third level relic.
Yeah. Yeah, and to me that kind of makes sense, because then that would be like the one absolute thing about technology is that it has to be connected. So if for whatever reason you end up going out to, you know, under a bridge or something where the signal is really weak,
right?
That could really hamper your efforts. So I like that. Yeah. So it's still a relic, but it has like that one simple limitation.
Yeah, and that it can, but because I can basically get. I'm trying to make this work here as an actual relic. You know, it can access, as long as it has connection, it can access any app. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even if
you mean that your iPhone could have Android apps on it?
Effectively, yes.
Is that that's the power of your godhood? Is that?
Hey.
Oh no, we're gonna get sued.
Well, no, I mean, because that's the thing, right? Because when you're coming up with unique things, like a cell phone that always has connection no matter where you are, like that's one level. So, like, what are you doing with those other two levels? What kind of power is that giving you for two more levels?
Well, never runs out of battery.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would almost just group that in with the like always connected, never runs out of battery. Like that's just like, hey, it's a better cell phone than it normally would be.
So demanding. Well, I mean, I like the idea.
It's Todd's final call. I'm just saying what I would do.
I want to put 3 levels on it, which because I just basically want it to be something fairly focused. Maybe it gives me like a +1 to tech, since I have absolutely 0 in tech.
There you go. So then,
okay.
if you use a level spent on a normal skill manifestation, will give you +2 to that skill.
I'm sorry.
If you wanted to spend both of your other levels, then anytime you wanted to use your tech, you could get a +4 for searching with your phone.
Does that work, Todd?
Yeah, that works for me.
Cool.
Alrighty then.
See, now that's power.
Well, and I was going to say, as someone who still has an iPhone 4, having a battery that doesn't die on you, you know, it's a thing.
The 5 was even worse because they had battery issues on the 5. So
now, and since we're already risking being sued by telecom giants anyways, and if it was a Samsung, it's guaranteed not to explode. Boom! There we go. Just drop that.
And you know what I hate about Blackberries?
All right.
Yeah, that's right.
That Sidekick was the worst one. I actually forgot to mention one of my bonds, because I just told you what I spent my additional attachment points on, but I didn't tell you about my actual bond. I mean, okay. I have the hospital, but I also have my assistant. She's a level 4 individual bond. Her name is Anita Lee, and she's my assistant. And there's like, you know, blossoming romantic stuff there because we've worked together for so long, but nothing that either of us have like acted on or anything.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So awkward office romance. Gotcha.
Not awkward, but just awkward. Like, you know,
unspoken.
Sexual tension.
Ooh.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
That's why we're gonna keep it PG-13. Alrighty then. And sorry, what level is Anita again? 4. Level 4. Oh goodness.
Yeah, she started off as 4 too, because I got an individual bond for my occupation, and then I got +2 individual levels for my archetype. So I just like boosted her up.
Gotcha. And then what's the level on your maternity ward or 2. Just the hospital? Level 2. Okay.
Yeah.
I did come up with the free truth. I don't know if this works for her, but I was thinking, computers or brains are computers. Telepathy, Molly can speak with others with their mind.
Ooh, okay.
But it's limited to line of sight, I believe, isn't it? I
Let's
thought
see.
it was.
Yeah, within sight.
Within sight, yeah, within sight, and up to as many people as I have in knowledge, points in knowledge.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, it's so. But if the target is unwilling or out of sight, but within intuition miles, then you have to. But you can spend a fragment to connect to them anyway.
Right.
But normally you can just do it.
Right.
The other thing that would be cool is if you took like a beast tongue sort of thing, but instead made it computer tongue or something like that. Like that could be fun as well.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking for a goddess of data. Like that seems like that could work out pretty nicely.
If the GM approves it.
Yeah, I'd be up for that. I mean, part of me was also thinking too is that line of sight could be a little bit more abstract in this case, where it's like so long it like your line of sight could theoretically include
Do I have
looking at someone else through like camera.
Ooh.
So basically it's like if you are video chatting with somebody,
Yeah.
like that could also be line of sight. I'd very much be willing to allow that exception because I think that is definitely would be suitable for your character.
Yeah.
And especially too, like in the form of a truth where it's a thing, like I'm very happy to actually allow that to happen.
Cool.
Numerous times.
Blake Ryan says, so she speaks and thinks in binary?
100101112.
The thing is, she would be freaked out by it at first. Like, the hell?
Yeah.
Come on, sucker. Lick my battery.
Alrighty then.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm starting
the level of that PG-13 here. I thought I was bad.
It's from a Flight of the Conchords song.
And?
That's not making your case.
They're PG-13.
So I think I've got a few things coming together here.
All right.
One of my truths is behind the wheel, I'm one with the road. So that's divinely skilled with travel.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So, if I get behind the wheel of a car, like we go, like that's not a problem.
Nice.
The other one I have is built Ford tough. So I'm armored.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I have a level 2 worshippers that are temple keepers that maintain a historic garage. Like
Cool.
So I can go there. Like I can go there when I need to. But like they have, it's been a garage in the city forever, and it's passed from like the worshippers have always kept it within the group, and they always maintain it, and it's like my temple when I need it. And I think that the thing I'm working on now is I've got a couple points left for relics, and I got the bonus points from before. So I think I'm gonna make Ford's gloves. They're like his driving gloves.
Ooh.
So I think they're going to have a little bit of weapon quality to them, because I don't want to just be stuck driving the car all the time. So
Nice.
So they're going to have a little bit of weapon quality, like just something like hits like a club or a pipe or something. And then I'm just looking at something else to invest into it. Like it might be a manifestation bonus for when I it could be a manifestation bonus because I have puppetry, which I'm thinking is going to be remote driving cars.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it might just be like when I put the gloves on and just start steering, like it gives me a bonus for puppeting cars.
Cool.
Nice.
Very cool. When you picked armored, what type of damage are you armoring yourself against?
Oh, I think it's just gonna be physical. Like he's basically like a car.
So
Right?
like bashing damage.
Yeah, like bashing damage. Yep.
Gotcha. Cool. And that gives you 2 armor per level of spark. So since we're all, I guess, spark 1 gods, you'll have 2 armor against any type of, just like blunt damage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
You do realize I have to try and hit your character with a car now.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get a car close enough to me, right? Like that's the
that is true.
That's right. Yes.
Now there.
You can just start flinging cards everywhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some extended rules right there. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There's a sequence. Okay, so I'm just making a note next to your character.
I wonder if we could combine powers, like yours over cars and mine over computer. Mine talking to computers. We could do some kind of 1-2 punch to something.
Well, to those newer cars,
right? Well, to a car he tries to throw at us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell that car to brake.
Yeah, nice. Like I could even kind of see too, where it's just like, okay, well, whoever it is that we're looking for, we don't know their name, but we know that they drive such and such and such kind of a car, and then Case finds it, and then once they're in the car, and maybe it turns out that it's located at the beach. So then Crystal's character is able to kind of, step in a little way, and there are ways that these things can happen. Okay, cool.
Nice.
But the important thing is making a note about hitting Case with a car.
Yes. Has to happen at some point.
We have to try. We have to at least try. There's an audience now. Blake wants to see Phil's character get hit by a car. And as someone who has actually been hit by a car, let me assure you, it'll be very cathartic.
Ouch.
Oh yeah, it's a whole story. I'll tell you about one of these days. Alrighty then. So. Oh no, go ahead, Crystal.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so my first one's gonna be aquatic because I can breathe underneath water, and
nice.
I get a bonus check for going in the water. So yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yep.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have an aura of influence for fear, but it's only gonna manifest right now when she's really angry. Like a storm does over Lake Michigan, where it looks fine and stuff like that, and then it's capsizing, steam liners.
Nice.
So, yeah. And then I am going to take a third one, too, because I can take up to 3, right? For starting? Or up to 2?
You can take up to 3. They do cost 2 points apiece.
Yep. And I'm okay with that. I'm going to do otherworldly sight.
Oh, good. I was hoping somebody would have that.
Well, it's filled with all, the ghosts of all the dead that have drowned in there. I mean,
yeah.
It kind of
All right. Sweet. Her mood affects the lake. All right.
So that's 4 of your points. What did you spend your last point on?
I'm working on it right now.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Haven't quite gotten there yet.
Okay, so there we go. So Eloy, we know has got that covered.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Phil, it sounds like you've got yourself, other than like maybe like with your gloves and working out the particulars there and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Carol, how are you feeling about your attachments?
Oh, good. With the truths, I think I have to maybe drop. I don't know. I've got the free truth, but I need another point because I had put 2 into an individual bond and 3 into the phone. So I think I need to drop 1.
Okay.
If I drop I'll drop the individual to 1 because, like I said, they're busy, and probably since she's become a god, she hasn't really talked to him much because she's busy freaking out.
Gotcha.
So we'll do that. So all the points work out. And then I'm working on the skills now. You did say 8 and 2, right?
Yes, 8 for skills and 2 for manifestations because you do not have a theology.
Right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, because normally your theology teaches you a bunch, which is why you normally get 4 points. But yeah,
no, that makes sense.
Yeah, you get.
And we've already got some based on other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. There we go. And then, so is everyone feeling good enough at this point when it comes to their attachments? And like I said, we can work out some of the particulars through Slack and whatnot kind of stuff over the next couple of weeks.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So then let's take it up to step 6, even though I know some of us are cheating. Carol. And moving ahead quickly on us, Carol.
Well, me too. I have 1 skill point left to spend.
Oh, why don't you complain to him?
I have no clue what to spend it on, though.
This is a very structured format, people. Okay, so let's move on to step 6 then. And that's basically all the final touches. So basically, this is the part where you actually have to do the test and actually answer some math questions to make sure that everything is right. Otherwise, the entire game will fall apart in session 3. So your skills and your manifestations. Now, in addition to the 8 points for skills and 2 for manifestations, you receive 10 points to spend on skills for a grand total of 18, and 6 points on manifestations. So that's a grand total of 6 points to spend on your manifestations. And level 1 to 4 cost 1 point each. Level 5 costs 2 points. And then you may also define 2 specialties for the character, 1 for a mundane skill and 1 for a manifestation of your choice. And that information can be found on page 130. And so, because obviously we don't want to have any dead air going on here, what kind of things are we looking at the skill? What are some of your highest skills and manifestations? What are some of the big highlights that we're looking at here?
So far for me, I'm trying to. I boosted my perception up to 4. Being a photographer makes sense that I would want to have a really good eye for things.
Uh-huh.
I also boosted my intuition up to 3, my stealth and speed up to 3 because I'm going to be a sneaky guy. My crafts up to 3 because that's the artistic side. So I want to be able to take an artistically pleasing picture as well. So I boosted that up to 3.
I have lots of black and white pictures.
Exactly. I have 1 point left, and I can't decide whether to bump my knowledge up to 2 or give myself 1 point in medicine. So I have 0 fighting and 0 athletics. So I am not the physical person in this group, just so everybody knows right up front. I also have 0 survival, so don't ask me to go be a wilderness man. That will not happen in this game.
Hum. Well, what would be the circumstances in which you could see a professional stock photographer having a point in medicine?
Well, I mean, I do work at the hospital. Maybe they require me to have a certain level of training just in case something happens. Who knows? Maybe that's the reason
basic
why.
First aid.
Yeah, basic first aid and stuff is level 1's that's all that is. So it's not I know I'm not a doctor at level 1. And I have 1 level in knowledge already, but I don't know if I want to just be generally smarter or have a little bit of medical knowledge. So okay. I think I'm going to give myself the medical knowledge. It gives me 1 die to use for that. I think that's fine.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. This way, in case we have that climactic moment when, someone, falls and someone needs to give CPR to bring them back. Bam. We turn to Eloy.
Exactly.
I was thinking having a knowledge of 4, that would be my high skill so far.
Yeah.
Mostly because even before, she would do she picked up like bits and pieces of things. Definitely the whole idea of jack of all trades, master of none. But she knows enough trivia to fake it, which is why she also has a 3 of deception.
Nice.
There you go.
You know, and I just kind of see her as, okay, she can talk her way in and possibly have trouble, but in case she can't, there is a fighting of 2.
Okay. So she's a bit of a scrapper.
A little bit. You know, it can get a little fierce in that gig economy there.
I guess it can. I'm scared of y'all guys, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out manifestations now. It's always, I don't know, it's always tough.
Okay. Alrighty then. Crystal, how what's your character looking like? What are your best skills and manifestations at this point?
Okay, so I got a little behind as far as I spent my truths and I have the 4 taken away. 4 skill points taken away. So I have 6 more skill points to spend there. And then
Okay. Would you like us to come back to you?
Yes, please.
Okay, done. That means we're going to Phil. Cut to Phil.
Yeah. So knowing that Eloy has no fighting skill, and I wanted to just do more than just drive cars. I do have fight. I have fight is actually my second highest skill. Travel is obviously I dumped all the points into travel, so I took a 5 in travel.
There we go.
Plus, with the truth, on standard driving checks and stuff, I don't fail anyway. But like navigating through cities and things like I have all that down. Like if we need a shortcut, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I definitely can fight. And speed is the other one. I took a 3 in speed. Just because this character is, kind of like a car. It hits hard, it goes fast. And then rounding that out, I'm taking a little bit of intuition, a little bit of might, a little bit of perception.
Okay. Cool. So I'm almost kind of envisioning that Case almost, or at least from what it sounds like, Case almost kind of has like the mentality of like a race car driver, but the lifestyle of a Grubhub driver.
Yeah.
Nice.
Fantastic, amazing skills, and no money.
So are there people constantly telling you that you're wasting your talents and all this other kind of stuff?
No, I don't think
Oh,
anyone
yeah.
likes Cases. Like I don't think people generally like Cases driving. Like Cases driving's like really dangerous and doesn't bother Case at all because I'm never worried. But I think people don't generally like driving with Case as much.
Gotcha. All right. So Case is underappreciated.
Yeah.
Done.
Case likes cars.
Okay. Excellent then. Okie dokie then.
So for manifestations, do we want to talk about that now?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So I decided I wanted to just focus on 3 manifestations that I think will fit best with my concept. Instead of trying to be a generalist and like, I have one in every one of them. So I have Oracle, Minion, and Soul. So Oracle is that, essentially I can read, I can be like, that person's name is Joe. So that's like super easy. I can sense names. That's super easy. For Minion, there's things underneath Minion that allow me to affect, like you can charm people. So it might be something like if I know their name, I can ask them to do something for me. Also with that, you can do bestow, which allows me to essentially, I could give somebody a new name. So I could be like, yeah, your name is Todd. No, that's no longer your name. You now have this name. This name is your name. And it just is now. It is reality. This is your name now.
Where were you when I was in high school?
The God of Names would have been so helpful for you. So that's why I took Minion. And then Soul. With Soul, I can do the same sort of thing, but I can do it with things that are not people. And the one of the reasons why I thought that was going to be an amazing thing, like to use soul with the dominion of names, is like I could literally, hand you an empty soda can, and you'll be like, "What's that?" And I'll say, "That's $100 bill." I just changed that. The name of this object is $100 bill. And now you know it. It is that. And you know that it is because it just is in reality.
Okay.
So it kind of allows me to manipulate that sort of thing. So I made sure to take soul as well for that. Soul also lets me summon spirits, which is pretty cool. So
Okay. All right. So you can basically David Keith your way through a cab ride. Okay.
Yeah. I can change the names of things. That's basically what I do. So.
Gotcha. All righty then. And anyone who can explain that reference to me, I will add 1 Pantheon die to the pool to start with. Boom. Because I feel like that was obscure enough, and I'll give everyone a couple of weeks. But if everyone can pinpoint where that reference comes from, I will add 1 Pantheon die to the pool.
All right, say that again.
So basically, he can Keith David his way through a cab ride.
Okay. Is that from Firestarter?
Boom! Phil just added 1 Pantheon.
Oh, that's right. That's what that guy could do.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about
Dad
that.
from Firestarter.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I am old.
See,
I mean, I've seen that movie a million times. I just didn't remember his name.
See, this game is also about teaching the young people to appreciate good 80s cinematography.
Yeah.
There we go. +1.
All right. So that's me. Who else wants to talk about their choices for manifestations?
I think I've got I don't have the levels worked out yet, but I think I'm gonna kind of go the same route. I'm not gonna be a generalist. So the ones I'm looking at for sure are beckon, so I can bring cars to me. Journey, so when I'm behind the wheel, I can do some pretty amazing stuff with a car, like drive it through something, or get to some place, drive into one car garage, come out somebody else's car garage, something like that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Puppetry for sure. I can remote drive cars, or just manipulate them. And the last one, I think I'm just going to take like a point or two in is. So I can take an existing car and like soup it up.
All right.
So
sweet.
I can take a car and just be like, this engine is now better.
Nice.
And kind of also let me do minor things like fix somebody's car or something.
All right. There we go. Carol, what have you got for your manifestations at this point?
Well, I'm definitely thinking Oracle. Try and sense, with data, area sense could be a thing. I found this piece of information about someone. I mean, I could try and find that someone through where they are, through what they're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
I was also thinking, I have Aegis and Soul through Dominion and or through Archetype, I believe. So I'm still looking around.
Okay. Crystal, how you doing over there?
Okay, so I have my manifestations figured out. Yay! I'm going to do beckon. I'm going to concentrate on 3 of them. Beckon, so that I can call or dismiss things from the lake as I need it. Ruin, because again, Lake Michigan, and that's my highest one, because Lake Michigan is a powerhouse that people don't realize it is. And then shaping, so that I can kind of try to manipulate the lake and the surrounding areas into what I would like to see. Okay.
I think it'd be a good thing. It just kind of dawned on me when you mentioned the shaping manifestation. That could really apply in a lot of. I'm good with basically any time that you can get access to water, except maybe water bottles, like things that may have been shipped into Detroit. But I would say, you know, like having access to the drinking water, you know, like I'll just leave it at that. Like water from Lake Michigan can get quite far within a city with an infrastructure like Detroit.
Okay, cool.
And your skills, everything's looking good on your skills right now too?
Yes, I have intuition because of her journalism as being one of her highest.
Good, good.
And then perception are her two highest. And then I have a smattering of a whole bunch of 1s and 2s and across the board because she's a college student. You know.
Yeah, and that makes sense. You know, yeah, you're taking a few elective courses and that kind of thing.
And I do too. I like I said, knowledge was my highest one, but she, with the board easy and the fact that she's kind of aimless wandering around, she knows a lot of little things, but she's not focused on anything else really.
Like the internet. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. There we go. So unless anyone has any other questions or anything they want to get into with like specialties or anything else like that, I'd say that we're good to.
No, I took a specialty. I took for photography and then one for redefining the names of things.
Right. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I took travel. My specialty is driving, and for Beckon, it's summoning. So I can summon cars.
Nice.
I think that's so cool.
Well, I almost think that it's. I mean, because you took the thing of finders keepers too, right? So you like it doesn't really matter. Like wherever you go, there's a car there for you.
No, actually, I didn't take that as a.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, the ones I have is like behind the wheel. Like I'm one with the road, so I'm always good when I drive.
Well, that was your one. I'm talking about from your Dominion choice.
Oh no! No, let me go back to my Dominion.
Because it was tangible. There's Call Me Master, Finders Keepers, and Immunity.
Oh, I did Call Me Master.
Oh, to give you the plus. That was where your +2. I gotcha.
Maybe I want Finders Keepers. Like
I mean, Finders Keepers would mean that you sacrifice a pantheon die and there's a car there for you.
Yeah.
So
this, you know what, this is also a good time for me to mention is that I'm always good too. Is that if there's a certain aspect of the character that doesn't quite fit or it's not quite doing the trick or something like that, that if you want to change it between sessions or even in the middle of a session, like let me know. And especially too, because I mean, we're not doing a huge campaign out of this. So I want you to be able to get the most out of your characters. And if something doesn't quite work the way you anticipated, we can easily change it.
There you go.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
All right. My specialties are going to be search and directions, because nautical directions are a thing.
Nice. I like how these 4 characters are shaping up to be the strangest detective agency that ever opened up shop. Because in a sense, what I'm planning on putting you through, in a sense, is a mystery. Like what you're going to be doing is you're going to be investigating what happened to the old gods of Detroit as a result of coming into your own powers. So yeah, I like this, is that there's a lot of ways to kind of get it there and find what you're looking for and then be able to take what you're looking for. And
I want to know about them so we don't become them, like dead.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing, like, well, if that's what happened, like, and even then too, are they missing, like what happened, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So cool. Alrighty then. So it sounds like we can move on to the territory grid.
Yeah, last thing is territory grid, and then the last calculations and stuff.
Yeah, basically the final free time and wealth, health and psyche, all that kind of stuff. Alrighty then. So for each of your, see, now we get to roll dice for something. Here we go. It's It's not one of my role-playing sessions unless dice hit the table intentionally.
I've been rolling dice because I did random stuff. Just saying.
I know, but for everybody to roll the dice. And there we go. Equal opportunity. All right, so let's start with each player at a time. So let's actually start with Eloy. Roll the 2d10 and let's see where your individual. Do you even have a location? Oh yeah, you do. Yep. You've got the hospital. Okay. All
right. Looks like it's going to be. Well, I mean, my individual for Anita, she's going to be. She's going to be on there, and so is my worshippers.
Yes, so that's right. You're right. You're right.
Anita's going to be at 6'5". The hospital is at 8'1", and my worshippers are at 6'3".
Well, then your worshippers now. Your Anita is located at 6'5", and in a sense, at the moment, this is a professional relationship that you have with this person that
correct
should become personal. So does that mean then your studio is located at 6'5"?
Yeah, I'm going to say that that's where my studio is. Yeah.
Okay.
And I live in my studio just for like simplification.
Practical reasons is what you say on your Facebook page. There we go.
Yes.
And
it's not because I'm poor.
Yeah, no, it's got nothing to do with that. Professional stock photography, you know, they all do very well, I'm sure. And then your worshippers are actually fairly close. So that would be kind of cool if there was like a very specific reason for that. Or even if it just happens to be incidental.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because and like you said too, like, you know, they are very directly connected to, like, they follow the God of names no matter what.
Right.
So, you know what, that could even just be something where, and this is something we could just establish when we get into the game, it could be something where at the beginning of the game, they've relocated themselves there looking for you.
Oh, see, that's even
cooler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's borderline stalking, but that's okay. We'll make it work.
So,
Blake is asking what the significance of the grid locations have.
So in the game, what happens is that basically the time and energy that the characters have to take adhering to their various responsibilities. So their motor responsibilities include their jobs or school, and their divine responsibility. You know, basically maintaining good relationship with their worshippers, tending to the various aspects of their dominion. Everything comes with the responsibilities. And in doing so, that means traveling to different locations. Over the course of this particular adventure too, they will have to travel to certain locations. And the territory grid is this really neat, intuitive way that basically kind of handles all that and then mechanically accounts for the amount of free time and or wealth required to make those sacrifices. And much like all of us in our real lives, sometimes things just don't jive. You can't make it to the big event because no one can cover your shift. Or it turns out, well, if no one goes and feeds the Gorgon, it's actually going to rise and consume Detroit. So I have to go and take care of this for the sake of all society. So yeah, so that's how the game, it's basically a way to mechanically you know, and abstractly account for the travel time in the game and the costs that are associated with it, whether or not it's through free time or wealth. The kind of thing that basically you'll be able to see in full swing once we get playing, starting in a couple of weeks.
Woohoo!
Okay, so there we go. So those are the grid numbers for Eloy. Carol.
All right, let's see.
Let's put you on the map.
Let's see. Well, okay, so she's got her friends, other, you know, freelancer type people, and they.
So hold on. Group bonds don't get on the map.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, individuals, landmarks, and worshippers.
Well, I don't have any worshippers, and technically, I don't have a landmark. I do have Elliot.
Everybody got a landmark because everybody gets one from your dominion.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Okay, well that's once again, that's something that we can work on.
Yeah, because that's how it's like everybody, like something pops up in the city to reflect what you're the god of.
Now, you know what?
I have a The idea was a bar called the Wiley Spot. Don't ask. I actually used a name generator to make it. But and it's. I would think it's. I was thinking of it and kind of as a bar where people kind of go between gigs and stuff like that. So I rolled 3-4.
Okay.
And then she's got her cousin, who is a student. So I don't know if he's off campus or not. And that's 1-4.
All right. Excellent. There we go. Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, there'll be certain times where it's like, certain significant locations.
Right.
We might just spontaneously roll at the moment just to see, how long it takes to get there and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Or otherwise, if we want, we could assume that.
Would her dingy little apartment count? Does home count?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, like, if it's it would be a place of importance for your character. Yeah.
Well, in the are you saying like separate from what you picked for the bar?
Yes.
Yeah, essentially all you do is you just pick a place and you're like, I live there, but it doesn't become a bond or anything because it's not something you chose.
Right, but would we put it on I thought we put the last one on the territory grid, but I forget.
I mean, you can mark it on the territory grid, but it's not going to have any power.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even then too, I mean, that's something that we can just kind of leave blank if it becomes something where, like, if there is something where getting there is important to the story.
True.
Yeah. So we'll play that on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Because even then too, I'm going to add a few locations onto the map for the various NPCs that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Okay. Crystal, let's put you on the map.
All right. So we're just rolling for my beach, and wherever my beach lands is where my fire dancers are probably going to end up being, right?
Well, they're two separate things.
Yeah, but based on you know what then? Let's do a separate one for the vassals in the sense where it's like, maybe
they're vassals.
Yeah.
Vassals don't end up on the map.
Yeah, okay. They basically come when called. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a 2 and a 10.
There you go. 2-10.
There we go.
Good. I was hoping it was going to be on the edge of the map too.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense for the beach.
The dice know what we're doing.
The dice know. Exactly.
The dice understand. Okay, cool. And then, then your other attachments are a group. They don't go on the map. And then your vassals you already established. There we go. So that's all we need from you for that. And so that brings us to Phil.
I have 2. So my location, which is the, we can just call it the Ford Museum for short, but it's that's 3-9.
Okay.
So that's my location bond, and then Max Garage, which is the Temple Keepers, that's at 1-0. So I think that's now out by the lake, right? Like
both of yours are out by the lake.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So the Temple Keepers are so that's Max Garage is just this little unassuming garage that's been around. Nobody actually even knows how old it is. It's ridiculously old.
It's just always been there.
Yeah, it's been there since there have been cars.
Okay. Excellent. There we go. Yeah, and then that's all stuff that's really going to start to come into play as we go, as we actually get into the game. All right, so then I think that's all we have left to do is to
so that's what there you go.
Yes.
I wrote it all out with the +1s, and down here we end up with some +2s. There's a couple of +2s over here by the lake because Phil's locations ended up down there too. And because whenever you're near your area, you get bonuses to your manifestation rolls. So that's what those bonuses come from, because you're near your centers of power.
Yes. And then on that note, Eloy, that's something you and I will work on is being able to have like a visual thing up on the screen for the territory grid. Because
we'll work on something. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say if there's going to be anything that needs any kind of like visual prompt in the game, I would say the territory grid would be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Alrighty then. So let's wrap up with the derived traits. So if everyone can put together what your free time and your wealth are.
Yep. My free time is 6. My wealth is 3.
7 and 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Go.
7 and 1.
Woo!
I got lots of time to hang out.
It's going to be 7 and 1 for Crystal too, right?
Yep.
Yep.
The professional stock photographer is the money bags of the group.
I mean, that's putting it. I don't know. That's. I'm really not at 3.
There's
Jeez.
some perspective.
You can have it up to 10. 3's nothing.
Yeah, but to the other 3, you know, like your Captain Moneybags over here. Look at this. You actually own your own camera.
What?
Right?
That's why I'm poor. I have a really good camera.
Yeah, there you go.
So it just cost me all my money.
Alrighty then. And so, oh yes. So we've all got that done and established and everything. Now we need to do our health and our psyche because things can get a little rough and bumpy along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So that is basically all characters begin with their fortitude plus 5 in health. And that obviously represents your physical condition and how much of a beating that their body can take, or in the case of Case, some more than others. And then your psyche is going to be your discipline plus 5, and that's tracking your mental conditions, showing the strength of their mind, which can obviously be put to the test when you start to realize, whoa, wait a second, there are gods and I'm one of them? Yeah, that'll be a thing.
I ended up with 7 and 7, so not bad.
Okay, good.
7 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
6 and 5.
7 and 5.
Okay, yeah, so some pretty close numbers and stuff. All right.
Yeah.
And then there is initiative. Now, this isn't necessarily going to matter to Eloy's character quite so much, but what the heck, let's do it anyways.
Mine's a plus 6.
Yeah, there we go. And it's your intuition plus speed. Yeah.
4.
5.
4.
There you go.
All right, there we go. Perfect. And then movement, which is how much you're able to travel on foot. And it's your athletics plus speed plus 5. And that's how many feet you can travel in a single move action.
8.
Okay.
6.
Yeah, alrighty then. And Eloy, you got yours, I take it? I didn't hear yours.
Yeah, my movement's 8.
8. Okay, there we go. And Spark. Now, in the game, Spark is a representation of your current divine power. And basically, it's going to be a spark of 1, because obviously you're just getting started. And this is something that is more so comes into play if you go into more campaign style, because basically you could look at your spark as being the level of your character. And with that, there are different things that come with the spark. So a spark can be split into fragments. And so as a result, each level of spark gives you 3 fragments. Each spark level gives the god access to an epic and legendary act, which is on page 138, which I don't think we will. I'm going to have to reacquaint myself with that particular rule, but I'm not going to worry about that.
It essentially allows
tonight.
us to break the game for a scene.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
So,
yes. Okay.
It's essentially what it does.
Gotcha. That's right. Now it's coming back to me. Let's see. There's another one here with gods with a higher spark. Nope, that's not going to come into effect here. And each of you have already marked down your one free truth, which is something you get a free truth with every level of spark.
Yeah.
And then finally, there is your strength, which is your athletics plus might. And that's exactly what it sounds like, bending bars and lifting gates.
And mine is 0.
There we go.
2.
Why?
Come on, Crystal.
4.
4? Whoa. good
Wow,
job.
there we go.
There you go. That's the muscle right there. I was thinking
You-
Phil was going to be the muscle. Turns out Crystal's
what?
the muscle over here.
It totally makes sense. I can actually see something about, like the goddess of Lake Michigan, of a lake, like being, you could really underestimate the power of, water.
Yeah.
So I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. It fits.
All right.
And there we go. We've got our characters. I think the last thing really, there's a couple last little things very quickly, and then we'll wrap it up for this one. Names, I mean, if you have a name, obviously we've got Phil's got K, so we've got that. But that's something where if you want to sit on that for a little bit to get that right. But I have one last question for each of you. And it's something that you can give me an answer now, or you can think on it a little bit if you need to do a Google search. I want to know, what is your favorite Harvey Keitel movie or character?
Mr. White, Reservoir Dogs.
Treasure.
Oh, hold on a sec. Okay, so I've got Phil's Mr. White, Reservoir Dogs. Okay, Carol?
National Treasure, the FBI agent, Sadusky or something like that.
Okay. And Kristen Eloy, now that you've had a moment to do a Google search.
Oh, yeah, I didn't do that yet.
Yeah.
I was going to say Robin Williams' brother in Mrs. Doubtfire, and then I'm realizing that that's not Harvey Keitel.
No.
That's Harvey Firestein, I think.
I knew it was
Oh,
a
yeah.
Harvey. I knew
Very
it was
different.
a Harvey.
Very different.
Very different. I mean, if that was Harvey Keitel, why that guy doesn't have any more Oscars on his shelf, I don't know, but no.
Okay, it's that guy. I'm going to say the Fixer from Pulp Fiction.
Gotcha.
Hold on, internet loading. Let's see here.
Come on, you know your favorite is from him in the Ridiculous Six, that Adam Sandler movie. You know that was your favorite role for him.
I was just about to X card you right there. Nope. Adam Sandler references. I'm sorry. No.
Oh.
I forgot he was in Point of No Return. He's Victor the Cleaner.
Oh.
Yes, that's right. Ooh.
Let's see. I'm gonna have to say it's the where is it?
Yeah, even if it's more like a movie.
It's Sadusky from National Treasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool. Now, why I asked that question, you'll have to wait a couple of weeks to find out.
Oh man.
And then the last thing I'm going to mention on here is one of the other things that, and I wanted to throw this out there and propose, and I think it's something that you would understand the possible consequences of this optional rule. But what I'm thinking is, because of the fact that you are playing new gods and you are just kind of forming your pantheon, I wanted to try breaking with the way that Pantheon dice work is basically they reset session to session and that kind of stuff. But what I wanted to do is to try with starting with no dice or one dice, because Phil knows the same things I do about movies. And basically have the Pantheon pool increase during play, but keep it the same so that it doesn't reset session to session. What does everybody think about that? And is that potentially game breaking, Eloy?
I kind of like that, especially for like a shorter campaign. I mean, it's going to be, I think, it'll still add some consequence from session to session.
Yeah, but it was also too for me what that meant then is it kind of would kind of force your characters to, you know, first of all, some of the curses would help with that. So
Right.
it would kind of encourage you.
I can think of a few things.
Curses. Oh yes. But at the same time too, you know, there are other ways that are kind of like it's basically rewards, you know, teamwork, cooperation, and that kind of stuff. So it would, you know, it would be a really good way to measure how well you're coming together as a pantheon.
I'm
like
good
it.
with it, since, you know, under that, you know, certain circumstances. The reason that it's designed to kind of reset every round or every session is to encourage players to not just sit on it, because that's what I was finding in a lot of my play tests, were that the Pantheon dice were just sitting there, and people were like, "Well, we don't want to use them because then, you know, we won't have them when we really need them." And it's just like, knowing that if you didn't use them, they just went away, was a reason that people were like, "Oh, well, then we'll just use them then." You know, so so that's the reason it's designed that way. But I don't mind doing it this way as well, because you have a particular purpose for why you're doing that as well. So
okay, all right, cool. There we go, and we have ourselves a pantheon.
Do you not care about Phil's thoughts on this?
Oh, yeah,
No,
Phil,
I'm good. I'm good. I liked it.
Phil, your thoughts mean nothing to us.
By the way, I'm cool giving my name the name now. It's Molly.
Molly. Okay.
Molly.
Mole, 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 mole.
All right. Any other names?
Mine's Javier.
Javier. Okay. A very nice name for a god of names.
Javier Vega is his name. If you want his last name too, I guess last names
Done.
probably won't matter.
I mean, I to tell you the truth, I would love it if the god of names was named Jim Bob. Honestly speaking, I think I do think we kind of missed a bit of an opportunity there. However, my understanding is that Jim Bob's really, you know, they can make a nasty letter writing campaign. So let's not go there. Alrighty then. And
So
Crystal.
Phil, apparently we've made the viewers happy. Like it says, Case and Molly just need Armitage.
No, nice.
Nice guys.
And Crystal, do you have a name for your? Do you have a name in mind for your character?
I do, Cheyenne.
Ooh.
Lovely.
So I'm going to go ahead and just for my own notes, I'm just going to take liberty based on the other Cheyenne that I know. And then later on, I'm going to go on Twitter and make sure that I spelled that right too.
Bet you didn't.
Probably not. But you never know. It's quite possible. I'm going to be very proud of myself if I did. It's like how I don't know why, but it's like, you know, I've actually practiced how to say Liz Chiparticle's name for the off chance that I'll have to use it in a public setting. And I just did. So it actually paid off. So there we go. All right. Excellent. So I've got everything I need. I'm going to take some of the stuff and then I'm going to start putting some things together. I don't know if I mentioned this to the four of you before, but there are going to be some additional gods in Detroit that are not part of the old Pantheon. And they have actually been titled the Undergods of Detroit. I'm not telling you what they are yet, but they have been created in cooperation with our oracles on our Oracle Slack channel. So, and some of them are going to be incredibly ironic in light of some of the characters that were made here. And yes, I did tell them some of the initial ideas that the four of you had mentioned online before. And it's on a secret channel that you're not allowed into. So we're going to be talking about y'all in between. So yeah, so there we go. So we'll be meeting again. What is it? It's going to be June 5th. Yes, there we go. And I guess we're going to start at 8 p.m. obviously.
8 p.m. next time, because we're going to go for 3 hours next time. We only needed 2 for character creation. And technically we went for 2.5, but we didn't really need the whole 2.5. We kind of dragged a little bit there, but you know, it was okay. But yeah, next time we're going to go for 3 hours so that we can actually get, you know, 3 3-hour sessions in and get a good 9-hour game. I think that'll be good.
Nice.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much to all my players and to everybody who is watching at home. And if you want to learn more about Part-Time Gods, Eloy, tell our audience where they can find out more about this game.
Oh, well, there's links in the description, so that's the easiest place. But you can go to thirdeyegames.net. You can just type in Part-Time Gods into any search engine of any kind. It's, you know, it's like literally, there is a band that is called Part-Time Gods, and they're not bad, actually. I went and listened to them. But we have higher SEO than them. So just type in Part-Time Gods and you'll find the RPG. That's not an insult to them. It's just, hey, that's how Google works.
And so when they do experience a spike in web searches, you're welcome.
You're welcome, Part-Time God. I mean, it's a really cool name for a band, too. I would have never thought of it, but it actually is a pretty cool name for a band. So yeah, anyway. But there's links in the description. Go check those out. And I put a video up, I think it was last week, which was the origins of Part-Time Gods. And the next video that I'm putting up is a video of system basics. So I just have to edit the video, but that should give you kind of an idea of how the system will work, so that you can even just watch that before you before we come back, and then you can you'll know what we're doing without us having to actually explain it all. So it'll be wonderful.
Nice. And Crystal, where can people find you online?
Oh, we're doing that.
Oh yes, we're doing this.
We're doing this. Okay.
Or do you even want people to find you online?
Oh,
sure. Well, yeah, you can find me. I know that I have a website and everything, so you can find me at thegeekypanda.com, and I have links to all of my social media there. But I do have a Facebook page, Crystal M. Mazur. I have Instagram and Twitter for both Body and Soul 152. And you can hit me up on Messenger, and my email is crystal.m.mazur@gmail.com.
Excellent. Carol, where can people find you online if you want them to?
Well, my Facebook is locked down, but I have a Twitter account. It is Librarian Wench. And I do have a website. It is Carol Darnell, all one word, .wordpress.com, because right now I'm too cheap to buy my own domain.
Lately when I go to use your name, I was talking to a couple other designers this weekend, and your name came up, and I kept calling you Carol Danvers.
I am not offended.
I didn't think you would, actually. I didn't think you would be. But at the same time, too, accuracy is the key in this business. Yeah. So, yes. And Phil, where can people find you online?
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at DNAPhil. You can catch me live on Twitch on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. For the Misdirected Mark podcast. You can pick up my other podcast, Pandas Talk Games. Comes out every Monday, also part of the Misdirected Mark Network. And you can see the other things I do on encodeddesigns.com, and occasionally I drop an article or two for Gnome Stew at gnomestew.com.
There we go. Excellent. And then to find me, just do a search for Todd Crapper. Seriously, it's not that hard. I trust me. There's no duplicates. There's no duplicates of any kind. Ironically,
check Kickstarter soon, right? For your upcoming LARP.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do a little cross promotion. Yes. Hopefully by tomorrow or by Friday. So in the next 24 to 48 hours, I'll be launching my Kickstarter for The Deal, which is a poker LARP of bad people caught in a bad situation. It is, I absolutely can guarantee that it is a game that encourages your characters to swear at each other, because that's what we did at Breakout. They were the two characters, we were literally F-bombing each other left, right, and center, that the people on the next table kept poking their heads around this partition to make sure we were okay. But that's how it's supposed to be played. So there we go.
I feel like if your LARP Kickstarter goes well, I should do the enhanced version of Mark's half-eaten hamburger LARP.
Oh, we have to package our games together, because I think I have something for my version of the half-eaten hamburger LARP, which is the many adventures of Patty and Fritz.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, yes, I have something in mind that uses Mad Libs as a basis to establish the story, and then you basically just round table your way to just kind of figure out how that all happens.
That's great.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have to package them together. So, alrighty then. Well, let's wrap it up. And so we're running out of free time, I'm afraid, and and something to do with wealth. Anyways, whatever. It's 11:30 at night. Yes. Yeah, there we go. We ran out of free time. We got to get ready to get up in the morning to make some more wealth. So with that, thank you for joining us. And in 2 weeks, we will begin with part 1 of the New Gods of Detroit. Eloy, cut us out.
We're cut.